Hi everyone. Today we did get a little bit of a choppy market here. We saw the falling into the pre-market. Definitely check out that morning video if you missed it. Talked about how this is probably going to fall. We were looking for the 21 to hold. It didn't, and then we ended up pushing close to that 55 EMA, but when we came up short of that, you should have suspected that we were going to see a little bit of a rally out, and we ended up basically flat on the close and then up a little bit here after hours. We'll see if this continues to hold or not. But either way, let's take a look at all of the markets and see if we can find some direction for tomorrow. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. So South Korea is going through some turmoil, and they did have a big dip in their markets as they did declare martial law. From what I found from this, the South Korean president did in place martial law because he felt the opposing party was starting to be sympathetic to North Korea, which is a very bold claim. I really have no idea about their politics, but that was what I saw. They tumbled as much as 7%, hitting a 52-week low, and a day later the ETF cut its losses down 1.6%, and you can see that here. Huge fall off, continuing to rally here during the session as martial law was taken off. Not a whole lot of impact to the US markets in my opinion, but just something to be aware of. Moving over to fear and greed, we finished at a 62, down from a 66 despite markets holding up, if not rallying a little bit on the day. Strength continuing to build into greed here. Breadth also kind of hovering, but still in neutral. Put call ratio definitely turning up now, so this is what's concerning me. We hit that critical point, the 0.61 level. Now we're seeing a little bit of a bounce, but markets have not gone with it quite yet. Volatility kind of hovering in that same region, neutral, and then safe haven demand pulling back into greed a little bit. Junk bonds into neutral. We haven't seen that in a while. Maybe that's a little bit of a signal. Definitely interesting to see that as well. So market's a little bit mixed at these critical points. Moving over to seasonality, just remember it is still supposed to be bullish basically all week. From the 3rd to the 4th is relatively flat, a little bit of choppy action in here, so maybe we flatten out, maybe pull back a little bit tomorrow. But either way, we are supposed to be bullish into the end of the week, slight pullback into the mid-month, and then rally out of it into that seasonality, Santa Claus rally style move. We'll see how it plays out, but for right now, slightly bullish, and it seems to be coming through. Moving over to the economic calendar, JOLTS job openings came in better than expected. That was good for markets. Previous number was revised down a little bit from 7.4 down to 7.37, so that was not super great, but this number, a little bit more than 200,000 better. You like to see it. Then we'll see tomorrow a bunch of economic data coming out at 10 o'clock, might move markets around, and then don't forget Fed Powell speaking in the afternoon. Definitely going to be interesting to see what he says before that upcoming Fed meeting. And then for the Wednesday, not a whole lot. Initial jobless claims, continuing jobless claims, and Fed balance sheet. Moving over to Max Pain, you can see Max Pain is at 600 for the Friday session, a little bit higher than it has been. You can see big call wall there at 605. So that is probably going to be top of markets. You can see current price 604.25. Could go a little bit above it before the end of the week, but that is a big cap, big number there. Total options, not a whole lot, 651,000. Put call ratio relatively high. Top of the puts is at 606. Again, risk is to the downside here based on this Max Pain. Moving over to the charts, looking at the SPY here, you can see it was just barely positive, 0.05% up 28 cents on the day. Momentum basically flat, RSI basically flat. It's coming off of this trend a little bit, so that's showing some resistance in my opinion. And we'll see if it can regain the momentum back up to that resistance around 607.80. If it does start to peel back, your support is still that 599.64 level, which is the high back here from 11 November. 9 EMA there as well at 598.53. So watching this zone in here, might consolidate for a little bit, either get the continuation or breakdown, waiting to see what happens. Obviously the trend is still very much bullish, but it seems like the short-term momentum has faded a little bit. And you can see that here on the hourly chart, the same one we looked at for the intro, rallied into the close, did have a little bit of after hours bullishness, but since then it has retraced all of that move, basically unchanged. Might wait for this 55 EMA to kind of consolidate into this zone and then see it fall. So Might have a little bit of time here waiting for that consolidation. Momentum slightly bearish. RSI right there at the SMA, waiting to see if this breaks down or not. Either way, I would say probably sideways choppy action, maybe slight pullbacks. If this 55 EMA breaks, that's going to be the biggest concern, to look for that bigger push to 599.64. And then moving over here to the Tasty charts, you can see this is slowly losing momentum as we start to flatten out. Again, might take another couple days here before we start to see this really roll over, but you can see we're not getting that same kind of aggressive style pushes we have been seeing, where you got 4 bars in a row, really continuous move. Same here. Sideways choppy action. Once again, sideways choppy action. Cannot get above that second ATR band right now, which is sitting at 604.80. We'll see if that zone starts to reject, and then you got the 8 EMA in there at 603.60. If those start to break down, you should look for a push back to the ATR trailing stop, which is at 677 cents. Moving over to the NASDAQ, much better day here, 0.31, still pushing right up to that trend. We cannot really get in contact with it, still coming up just a little bit short. Tomorrow the trend is going to be sitting at 518.27. We'll see if we continue to grind along this level or not. You can see we pulled back, tested the 514.92 level, held that, rallied up. Again, critical zone here, waiting to see if it can break through here and push to that next upper trend. Structurally here, we're watching this as this kind of bull structure, but the range has been really, really tight, waiting to see if we can regain this range from early in the trend and push up to this zone here in the 540s. Moving over to the NASDAQ on the Tasty charts, you can see that upper ATR band continues to be resistance. We did push up to it here at 577.68. Pulled back to it on that last candle, 577.95, current price 577.97. So sitting at that upper band, continuing to grind slowly higher as this band continues to grind slowly higher. So continues to be resistance, again, slowing that move higher as the band continues to catch up. Not expecting big pushes at this point. And if we do kind of get any accelerations like we did here, then you wait for that kind of sideways pullback in time, let those bands catch up, and then you wait to see if you get the rally up continuation or if it breaks down from there. So that's what I'm looking for right now, continuing to go higher slowly until we start to see some signs of a pullback. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow here, you can see the Russell was down 0.71, pulled back almost to the 9 EMA at 239.08, low of day was 239.37, ended up bouncing a little bit up to 240. Did not get lower than the low on Tuesday last week. We'll see if it continues lower tomorrow. At this point, you would expect to push down to at least the 238 level. Momentum is rolling. RSI has not broken quite yet, but seems like this might roll a little bit more. And then looking at the Dow, similar move here, continues to roll a little bit more. Another step down towards bearish momentum, RSI rolling down. Hasn't touched the SMA quite yet, but my guess is that it will. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft, Apple continues to be a rocket ship here at 1.28% to the upside. Clean break above the level from yesterday, which was just the wick high. Pushed through there cleanly, closed on the high. Momentum extremely bullish, extremely overbought, already at a 72.81 on the daily chart. So we'll see if this continues or not. Very strong push. Wouldn't want to get in the way, at least for now. And then looking at Microsoft, held up okay. Tested the level, 429.88, held that level, ended up closing slightly positive. Looking to see if we can get that push up to 440.72, or if it's going to reject from here and then pull back into the middle of this range that it's been in for basically 6 months at this point. Moving over to the Mag 7, let's go ahead and extend out this trend line here, because this continues to push here. So we got back into the trading range yesterday, continued higher here today. This is being driven by Apple, up 1%. The current resistance is all the way up here at 320. We'll see if this continues to run. This is all-time highest price discovery for the Mag 7, and it continues to look very, very good. Momentum bullish. RSI almost overbought. I wouldn't get in the way of this for now. Like I said, 320.80 might take a couple of days to get there. Might get to 322, and then we'll see if we push through here all the way up into that 333 area. But everything looks very good right now on the Mag 7. Moving over to Tesla and NVIDIA, you can see Tesla basically flat, down 1.5%. For Tesla, that's not a big move. You can see very, very small doji here. We'll see if it can continue to hold up. It's been doing really well. Momentum stepping back to bearish, RSI rejecting off the SMA, so that's not so great. Got the retest of the SMA, looking to see if this falls. Current support is all the way down at 336.67, so watching that as a critical zone there. And then looking at NVIDIA here, you can see continues to rally. We're still looking for a retest retest of that 21 EMA, which is sitting at 142.56. Momentum turned into bullish. RSI again waiting to retest that SMA. We'll see if it gets there and rejects from there or what happens. Right now it's downtrending, so you would expect a rejection. Looking for the retest. If it rejects from that 21 EMA, I will definitely be looking for a short position from there and a change in structure here for NVIDIA. It's been a great stock. It's been a massive run, but this is definitely looking like a left shoulder head, right shoulder here. Just looking for that rejection in my opinion. Moving over to Amazon and NVIDIA. Amazon pushed right to the trend like we thought that it was going to. Hit that trend almost to the penny at 214.04. High of day was 214.02. We'll see if it rejects from there. Momentum's bullish, RSI is bullish. Pretty much right at the highs, not quite there. And then looking at Alphabet, again, very similar setup to NVIDIA. We've been talking about this here. Rallying up, 21 EMA, VWAP as resistance. If it rejects from here, that's going to be very bearish. RSI, SMA right there, looking for the rejection as well. If these start to reject, they could start to put cracks into markets, but for now, it's holding up, waiting to see if it breaks through that area. Moving over to best and worst sectors, here we got communications continuing to be very good, 0.81 to the upside, momentum bullish, RSI still bullish. Definitely super extended at a 76.57, but just continues to be a rocket ship here towards that upper trend. All-time highs hitting that big psychological 100 level. And then transports, dumpster fire here at 1.87%. Pulled back to the 21, pulled back to VWAP, trend support in here at 72.87. See if this zone ends up holding. Big volume selling action there. So see if it breaks through here and gets a change of structure. It's been quite a bit of an uptrend, but now you got a big down candle waiting to see what happens there. Moving over to market breadth, this continues to pull back here on both cases. 20-day pulling back to the level, 68.14. We'll see if that level ends up holding. My guess is that it won't. We'll see a higher low setup though in this 59 area. That's what I'm looking for. Look for that higher low setup there. Push to the higher high, hit that kind of critical zone, and then we'll see what happens. And then looking at 50-day, you can see that same structure here. With the low, higher low, setting up in this area here, 61.50, you want to see it hold in there. Then you got the high, higher high, looking for that third higher high. We'll see if it continues to rally up here. Momentum still fading, similar to what it did here. RSI breaking down, so definitely bearish in the short term. Need to see it get into those critical zones and then hit the turning point. Right now looks bearish though. Moving over to the dollar, still giving us that lower high setup. Still cannot get above the 200-hour moving average here at 106.57. You can see here 9 EMA in that same zone at 106.47. Still cannot get above it. Looks like this is going to establish a lower high and then continue a little bit lower, but for now it still looks okay. As long as that 21 is holding, want to see that break down and give equities a little bit of room to the upside, but it just hasn't done it quite yet. Then finishing up here with bonds, you can see bonds were a little bit positive for JNK, 0.02, continues to hold in this area. Hasn't broken structure quite yet, still looking at the low, higher low setup there. And then looking at TLT, ended up pulling back from this zone. We saw that 55 being resistance here on the Monday, and it is continuing to sell here today. Still expecting the higher low. If it retests the 21 in here at 91.57, touch that level, continuation higher, that's going to be a great setup. That is what I'm looking for. Right now, momentum stepping to bearish, RSI stepping to bearish. I would expect a little bit more downward movement in tomorrow's session. And then looking at the VIX, you can see we're slowing on this downward movement. It is finding support in this 13.3 area. Again, this is a zone where you can see it kind of hover for a long time without doing really much of anything. So I wouldn't put too much stock in it. It is a zone of support, but not doing much quite yet. And then you can see on the momentum, we did get a slight step to bullish. Interesting. Could take a couple of days for that to come to fruition, but it is starting to do something, but not moving with any kind of conviction quite yet. Moving over to my accounts, I made a few $100, it looks like. For the IWM, it was down about $160 on the day, and I was able to cover nearly all of that with covered calls. You can see $14 loss there on the session. So I rolled the call down for during the session, made a little bit more money on that, and then rolled it out a day to $240 for tomorrow for $1 credit. It's down a smidgen after hours. We'll see if it continues to fall or not. Might need to get a little bit more aggressive with this call selling if we do see a little bit more movement here. And then looking at the Qs, you can see didn't do anything with these positions, continued to rally into those resistances. The calls are slightly negative. The shares are obviously positive. We're starting to get close to some of those max profits here. You can see on this position, 513 max profit there, 517.20. Current price just barely below it. After hours, we're above it. and then you can see 518 for $3 credit, so that puts you at 521, and then 519 for 250 puts you at 521.50. So starting to get close to some of those levels. Might take these 513s off tomorrow depending on what we see. Might take this 513 off depending on if we see a kind of continuation style rally up to that upper level. Again, we're right at the trend, waiting to see if we break from that level. If it does, I think we're going to turn super bullish. If we reject, obviously that's going to be a bearish signal. Let me know down in the comment section what you thought of the charts. Are we going to get the continuation higher? Is the NASDAQ going to continue to lead us higher? Or will the Russell start to pull us lower? Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.